Rabbi Akiva Omer, Loibo Akosev ela ligveis lenizokin mina idis v'kavachomer lahektish. Rabbi Shmuel said, Meitav Sadeo, Meitav Karmi Yashalim teaches us that Be'ikr, you take the best of the field. The guy doesn't have money to pay, he damages somebody, you take from his best field, the best of his field, the person who was damaged. So if the damager's ziburis is on the level of the niziks, the person who's being damaged, he only has to pay a ziburis. Why does it say Meitav Sadehu, which the mashmos is, and we're talking about the mazik, to teach you that if his ziburis is not up to par with the idis of the nizik, then he'll pay from his idis, from his best. Akiva, however, argues. He says, "Leiba kosav ligvas the nizokin mina idis v'kavachomer lahektish." And the pasuk is coming to teach us that you take the nizokin, the damages from the best, and how much more so for hektish. So now the Gemara is going to analyze. What are we talking about? My kavachomer lahektish. Ilema denagche tura didon letura dehektish. If you're going to say that we're talking about a case that a person's ox damaged a tura of hektish, an ox of hektish, and Rabbi Kiva wants to say that you're going to have to pay damages if you're mazik a share of hektish, it can't be. The pasuk says, the Torah says, only if you damage the ox of your friend and not the ox of hektish. Hello, rather, we're going to say we keep talking about a different case. This person said, I want to give 100 shekels, 100 dinrim for the bedek abayis. Amone, dosi gizber v'shokim idis. He wants to say that the gizber will take from the idis in such a case. In other words, if you have a debt for hektish, that you're going to take from idis. The madoch, by damages, we take from by nizokin, we take from idis. We'll take for hektish also for his debt from idis. So on that, the Gemara asks, why would he say that? It's in a different class. How could you have a kavachomer? One is damages and one is a debt, which you consider like a debt that's owed. And the general rule is that he owes bainanis, he owes intermediary properties. So why would we say this? Okay, you have a kavachomer, but it's a whole different type of situation. One is a damage and one is a debt. And if you can try to say, because Rabbi Kiva Balchiv Shakal be this kinizok, and that Balchiv will take it is, you want to say that he holds Bechlal that Balchiv will take it is. Why do you even have a kavachomer? There shouldn't even be a kavachomer because a balchiv, a regular person who's owed money, also, if he gets damaged, will get paid. But hektish doesn't get paid if there's damages. So he has less koyach, not more koyach. So why does Rabbi Kiva say kavachomer like this? What is he talking about? The question is mamish a big question. So the Gemara says like this. Our ox gored an ox of hektish. It says which excludes the damages for an ox of hektish, which then caused the whole problem. Rabbi Kiva's kavachomer. Rabbi Kiva soverlo kirshim ben nasya. Rabbi Kiva holds that's not the case, which honestly makes sense to me. I mean, why should you get away with damaging the ox of hektish? He says he holds like kirshim ben nasya. Titanya kirshim ben nasya imer. Shur shal hektish anogach l'shur shal hedyet. Potter. If a shur of hektish gores an ox of hedyet, it's exempt.
Which is exempt, the ox of hektish?
Yeah, hektish doesn't have to pay anything.
Uh-huh.
It honestly doesn't sound fair. That's the case. It's exempt. But if a hedyet, if a regular person's ox gored an ox of hektish, bein tam of ein muad. On the contrary, even if the ox is a tam, that it's the first time it's happening, or muad, mishalim nezik shalim, you have to pay full damages. So Rabbi Kiva is saying, kavachomer lahektish, you have to pay full damages, so you're gonna have to have idis, because the pasuk about idis is talking about a regular person, but he says kavachomer lahektish. Now we understand the whole Kavachimer if he holds like Rav Shimon ben Menashe. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm gonna take a pause. I have to deal with this. I'm sorry. So the Gemara asks like this. We're right now 6 lines on the bottom of the page in Daf Mem Testament Aleph. Maseches Gittin in the Bavli. Yochim mimayde beidis the nizik kizi buddhist the mazik plige. If so, who says that the machlekes is if that we're talking about the case where the idis of the nizik is like the zibuddhist of the mazik, where the best of the person who was damaged is like the worst of the person who caused the damages? That according to Rabbi Shmuel, that's sufficient because the main thing is the nizik, because he learned sada. Just like the field, it's based on the field that you damaged. So Rabbi Akiva will argue and he'll say you have to give the idis of the mazik. Maybe Rabbi Akiva also agrees with Rabbi Shmuel. Maybe machlokes is, do we say that the share of hektish that is damaged, you have to repay hektish if you damage the share of hektish? Maybe that's a machlokes. Rabbi Akiva holds like Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe that you will have to, and what will you have to repay it with the idis of the, I guess, the nizik, idis of hektish. Probably hektish probably has the very best of everything. I imagine. I hope so. But Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Shmuel, however, will hold like the Rabbana, which is that if you're sherei over shel hektish, maybe that's a machlokes. Maybe they're b'chlal not arguing if you evaluate by the nizik or the mazik. Maybe that's not the machlokes. So the Gemara came my leiba kosef. If you look in the Lashon, leiba kosef ela ligbois l'nizakim in edis. So leiba kosef sounds like he's talking about how to interpret that pasuk, not the pasuk about shorei. Furthermore, why does he say kal v'chomer l'hektish? If you're going to say that Rabbi Akiva is agreeing with Rabbi Shmuel that there's a leniency when it comes to the mazik, that he's only going to have to pay like the idis of the nizik, so why kal v'chomer l'hektish? You should say, and also like hektish. Furthermore, Ravashi says, we're now on Daf Mem Testament base 49b.
Haven't they already asked that question? Why kal v'chomer?
Yeah, they interpreted the kal v'chomer, but why would the lashon be kal v'chomer l'hektish, which sounds like hektish is getting a chumrah. If you're going to say that Rabbi Akiva agrees with Rabbi Shmuel, hektish is really getting a leniency.
Well, it should. It's at a higher level, isn't it? On a high. It's on a higher level. It should get a leniency, shouldn't it? Hektish.
In other words, it's getting paid less than what it should. Not it's getting paid in a weaker sense than what we would assume.
Oh.
Okay, so the Gemara goes on. Void Homer Ravashi says, Void Homer Ravashi. Tanya Behedi, it says clearly, Meitav Tadeh, Meitav Karmi Yishalem, that it says the best of his field and his vineyard you should pay. Meitav Tadeh Shenizik, Meitav Karmi Shenizik, the Rabbi Shmuel. Shmuel says we're talking about the best of the nizik, the person who was damaged. It's the best of the mazik, so it's very clear. We have a brayso that clearly delineates and spells out the machlokes as being, is it the best of the nizik or the mazik? So that is the explanation of why it says mipnei tikkun olam. Again, the original question of the Gemara, why does it say mipnei tikkun olam? That you pay the idis, the nizok and shamal idis. Why is that tikkun olam? That's the oraisa. The answer is, it's according to Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel says that midoraisa you pay the idis of the nizik. The tikkun olam is that you're always going to pay the idis of the mazik. Obviously, we're talking about if he has better than the nizik, then you'll go up another notch and you'll pay the idis of the mazik.
And if he only has the inferior land or the medium quality, then you have to do a shuma, right? So to determine the value of.
Yeah. In other words, if he doesn't have this, then it's what is he supposed to do? He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it.
Yeah.
But if he has better, then he has to pay better. He can't suffice with the idis of the nizak. He has to go to the best that he has. Okay, that's the opinion. That's the first way of explaining the Mishnah, that it's Shitas Rabbi Shmuel. This that it says that we pay the nizokin be'idis is Shitas Rabbi Shmuel. Hi, Baruch, you there?
Hi, where are we?
We are currently on Memtes Amud Beis.
Not too far from the top. Right? Not too far from the top, so I guess it's.
How far?
Or it'd be a 12.
We are up to Ravina Omar, 4 lines from the top of the page. Okay, so again, the question is, why does it say that the nizokin get paid with idis from because of tikkun olam? It's not tikkun olam. We're talking about the Raisa, Meitav Sedil, Meitav Karmi Shalom. So the first answer was, it's according to Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel says we evaluate based on the idis of the nizik, and the tikkun olam is to evaluate based on the idis of the mazik. Ravina says the ilam is Rabbi Kivi, Domer midaraisa with the mazik shamin, and our Mishnah is Rabbi Kiva, who says it's the Araisa. Why does it make tikkun olam? But Rabbi Shimon, the Torah time of the crow, it's based on Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon is giving the reason tikkun olam, but it's not saying it's rabbinic. It's just giving the reasoning. What's the reason? What's the reason why we evaluate with idis? Because of tikkun olam. The Tanya, it says in the Bryce. Shimon says, why do we say that the damages are with the best? You pay with the best, the highest value, highest quality property. Because of the thieves and the chamsanim are those who pay for the robbery. Person steals, but he pays for it. That's a chamsan. A gazlan is he doesn't pay for it. Person should say, why am I stealing? Why am I why am I being chaymis? Tomorrow, Bezin's going to come into my property and they're going to take my field. And they were going to rely on what it says in Torah that you take the best of the field. Therefore, Torah says that you should pay with idis. People cause damages. So I guess included in that is also if you steal, even though it's not clear. But that seems like, since the word Shimon holds, he includes thieves. Thieves is also.
What's the difference again between the chamsan and the gazlan?
Gazlan doesn't pay for it. The chamsan, he takes it, but at least he gives you some money.
Right.
So I guess he'll get his money back, but he'll lose. Wait a minute. If a person is chaymis a piece of property and he pays money for it, and the guy, why can't he just? I don't understand why you don't just get the property back. And so, in other words, why they don't just take the property back. I actually don't understand this. What I don't. They stole a piece of property, so why don't they just give the property back? Why do you take their best field? What does that have to do? If you damage something, you can lose your best field. I really don't get it.
Maybe it's not only property, but you force a person to sell his ox and you shech the ox and sell the meat or something like that. It's not there.
Oh, that's a good answer. I didn't even think of that. Okay, I thought it was that he stole a piece of property. Okay, yeah, he stole an ox. So you have to pay double. He doesn't have the money, so he has to give back property and to give back the best of his property. That's what it's very good. Yeah. And he goes on and he teaches us in the next level in our mission. Why do they say Baal Chayv only gets paid a beinanis? To discourage lenders. You shouldn't see that his friend has a beautiful field and a beautiful house. He's going to run and he's going to lend the money in order for me to be able to take his field. He has a long view. He's purposely lending him money that he knows he can't repay, so that he'll be able to seize his house. I'm sure there's people who do that. Therefore, they said a Bal Chayv is only getting Beninis. He's not getting the best of the person's property. And the Mayati here, if so, they should give him the worst. Says the Gemara, this is like interjection of the Gemara. You're going to close off that people won't be able to borrow money because people say, I don't want to get paid back Ziburis. I want to get paid back good quality land. Subas Isha Beziburis. Why do they say Subas Isha is Beziburis? Div Rabbi Yehuda says a woman will get paid her ksuba with the Beninis. Why do they say a woman only gets paid ziburis for excuse me, for her ksuba? More than a man wants to get married, a woman will want to get married. So the first explanation is she wants to get married more than him, so therefore she's willing to take a cut. She'll only get paid the her ksuba as ziburis. We have another answer. A woman gets a get with her will and against her will. A man only willingly. So the Gemara asks, "My davaracha, what is the interpretation of this? What does that have to do with anything? Just because he could divorce her against her will, he is only have to pay her. He's only going to have to pay her ziburis. If you're going to say, maybe the man should get a ksuba. What about men's rights? Why does he only have to pay her if he divorces her? Why doesn't she pay him? Tashma, that's what it's talking about. A man doesn't have to divorce. It's up to him. By her, she gets divorced against her will. I think she can't divorce him. It's not up to her to divorce him, so there's no ksuba for the man if she divorces him. It doesn't work like that. It's interesting because if you look at this Gemara, the Lashon, it sounds like we're okay with men just not giving a get if she wants a get, which is terrible, like a big problem nowadays, or it's always been a big problem.
But the fact that he only has to pay the kasuba by a ziburit, why don't they say he has to pay by an edis? Because then it'll be sort of an impediment for him to divorce you. He won't divorce her so easily.
Thing is, to looking at it the other way, that we don't want to encourage divorces. Maybe they were afraid that men would be afraid to get married if there would be such gigantic financial responsibility. It's not like more money; it's just higher quality land. I don't know. It's a good question. Okay, we'll go further. Try to do another Amud. The ksuba of a woman is a ziburis, the worst. Here is where it gets complicated, it gets confusing, this Gemara. It's only if she's a widow, she's taking from her husband's estate, from the orphans, so then she gets ziburit. But everyone will agree that if she's divorced and he's alive, of course she'll take bebeninis. How can you say that? You're saying that the special thing that we say that ksubastisha is ziburis is only miyasmi mayuk ksubastisha. Why would we single out ksubastisha? The Mishnah clearly says that everything is only ziburis from Yisayimim, no matter what it is. Totnan, it says in the Mishnah, no matter what you're owed, you only get paid from the Nichsi Yisayimim, from orphans, from ziburis. It's a raya that when the Mishnah says that the ksubastisha is ziburis, it's not talking about from the Yisayimim, it's talking about from the husband. It's a very strong raya. Really, we're talking about from the Yisayimim. We need to teach us the din of ksubastisha, that even ksubastisha only gets ziburis from the Yisayimim. So now it's the other way. The other way entirely. Adara, ksubastisha, we would not think it should be ziburis. The chiddush is a ksubastisha ziburis. You might think to say that the Chum say she could take from the Yisayimim Beininis because of china, because it's a regular debt, because we want men to find favor in the eyes of women, so to pay them at least benefits. Kamash Malo, and they're not. If we're talking about Yisayimim, not. Okay, so again, Marzut Breder of Nachman said that Ksuba Sisha is Ziburis only from Yisayimim. Rava analyzes it, says like this: Toshma. Rabbi Meir makes Ksuba Sisha bebenis. Rabbi Meir holds the Ksuba of woman is bebenis. Miman, from who is he collecting? Ilim Meyasme. You're going to say he's talking about from the Yisayimim. In other words, Rabbi Yehuda says Ziburis, Rabbi Meir says Benedis. So you're saying that Rabbi Yehuda says Ziburis is only from the Yisayim. That means Rabbi Meir will be saying Benedis from Yisayim. How can you say that? Rather, it must be from. Rather, it must be Minei. It must be from him. Rather from him. It must be that the Chacham hold from Ziburis Loi, from Ziburis not. I didn't translate that right. Miman, Ilem Miyas, even the Rabbi Meir is talking about from the Yisayim, the way Marzutzer Beit Ravina wants to say. So then, later, the Rabbi Meir hold that's not in front of Nichsi Yisayim, Melim and Ziburis. Does Rabbi Meir not hold what it says in Mishnah that you only get paid from Nichsi Yisayim from Ziburis? Rather, it must be that the Machlokes is specifically from the husband, that Rabbi Yehuda holds you get from the husband Beinanis, and Rabbi Meir holds you get. Sorry, Rabbi Yehuda holds you get Ziburis from the husband, and Rabbi Meir holds Beinanis. Called the Rabbanan Tzavri Ziburis. Chum holds Ziburis from the husband. This is a refutation to Marzutra. Really from the Yisayim. Why would Rabbi Meir differentiate from everything else? Even Nizakin, he says, you get Ziburis from the Yisayim. So why would Ksuba Sisha be any different? There's Chain there. Okay, so now that's resolved. If you hold Ziburis from the Yisayim, but regularly he'll hold Beinanis, and Rabbi Meir will hold even Beinanis even from the Yisayim because of China. Abaye says, Toshma, come in here. It says in the Mishnah, 3 dargis. Nizokin get idis, Balchayv gets Beinanis, and Subasisha Ziburis. This is a very strong question, should have been asked right away. Man, who are we talking about, these 3 levels? Elim and Miyasmi, saying the 3 levels from the Yisayim, my ear Subasisha, Filikul Haninami. Why only Subasisha? All of them should be Ziburis. And the love must be from the husband. It's a refutation to Marzutra. Marzutra wanted to say that when the Mishnah says the Subasisha Ziburis, it's talking about from the Yisayim. How could that be? It's in reference, it's together with the other 2. Nizokin is Idis, Balchayv has been in this Subasisha Ziburis. That means that they're specifically talking about from the husband. Now it's already starting to get dochuk. To try to fit Marzutra in, it's already starting to get a little forced. We're talking about that he became an orev. We're talking about an orev l'nizke b'noi l'bal chayv b'noi l'ksubas kalas.
What's an orev?
He became a guarantor for his son's damages, and then he passes away. Okay, so the guy's a guarantor.
Oh, no, orev with ayin, right?
Yeah, became a guarantor for his son's damages, his son's debts, and his daughter-in-law's ksuba, and then he passes away. And you want to take it from the Yisayim. So the question is how you judge it, how you estimate it. This is really starting to, it seems like a bit of a stretch, but okay. Marzutra will tie choice that our Mishnah is talking about that the father is an orev. So it's not even the guy's not paying, he's not paying his own damages. It's his father's estate who's paying the damages because his father became an orev for his son's damages, his son's debts, and his daughter-in-law's ksuba. We look at each one according to his din because he became an orev. He's talking about Yunami Kimagvi Kimechai Magvi. He's talking about Chayiv that they usually get they get paid Mechaim from while they're alive. from him also, from the father also, you're going to take it from him as if the father's alive. Oh, I'm sorry. I explained it wrong. The father is the other. The father's still alive. The son passed away. So we would look at the damages. The damages are usually supposed to be collected from while he's alive. The son's alive. The debts are supposed to be collected usually while he's alive. It just happens to be that he passed away. So you'll also take it from the father and give it the din of the son being alive apply it to the father, so that he's going to pay idis and benenis. What about ksubasisha, however? Ksubasisha is lachar misa gavyo. Ksubasisha that it's achar. She's only getting paid after her husband passes away. Her husband passed away. Now she wants her debt from her father-in-law. Lachar misa miman gavmi. Ask me normally who you're going to collect it from the yisoyim lachar misa. Even though here you're not. Here you're collecting it from the father. Doesn't matter. Yunami ki magvi kila achar misa magvi. You'll collect it from him as if it's lachar misa, because it's from the father, but it's in lieu of the son. So idis and ben and balchoiv, nizok and balchoiv, that supposed to be collected while the son was supposed to be collected while the son was alive. It wasn't, but it's supposed to be. So the father will pay as if the son is still alive, and he'll pay idis and benenis. But ksubasisho, that obviously she's only getting paid as a widow, so then she'll get paid as if the father had passed away. Typically, the order of the ksuba loy mishtabed bekablan. There's no such thing as a guarantor for a ksuba. There's no shibud. Because she didn't lend the husband money, he just guaranteed money. There's no such thing as order. We'll just say the order is more of a feel-good thing. Says the Gemara bekablan. There's kablonis here. In other words, what's the kablonis? Rashi explains the son actually gave mitaltal in the ksubasa. He gave movable property for the sake of her ksuba. She gave it to him as a kablan, and then he gave it back to his son. So it's like the son gave her something as a mashkin. She gave it to the Orev, and the Orev gave it back to the son. So there's a kablonis here. There's property that's being moved around. It's not just thin air. If it would be purely Orev, guarantor for the ksuba, where she didn't give the husband anything, she just agreed to marry him, there's no such thing as an Orev. He doesn't owe her anything. But if there's kablonis, that the husband gave the wife a mashkin, and then she gave it to him, and then he gave it to her, back to the husband, then we'll say there is such a thing. It's called an Orev kablan. Maybe it's chalipin. Sarkin, exactly how it works. So the Gemara says, makes sense that there's a shita that says that if you have a kablan, even if the loiva doesn't have any property, the borrower, mishtabed shaper. So then Shaper, even if there's a problem and the Levi doesn't have money, he's mishabed himself, even if he doesn't have property. But according to the opinion that if he has, only if he has, he's mishabed himself. If he doesn't have, he's not mishabed himself, even with, in other words, because the son had given the metalton to the woman, and then so he didn't have any property at the time. What are you going to say? If he had nechasim, why would the father have to pay in the first place? It must be the son didn't have nechasim, he didn't have property. What about the metalton that he gave him? Maybe that's not enough. Maybe it was just a small amount of the debt. I'm not sure. So the Gemara answers by saying, if we could say the son had the money, but then it got ruined, or got ruined now, later on after the debt was signed. Because we're talking about a father to a son, it's a different story than a regular of a kaplan. It's for his son. Okay, so now we're getting into the dinim of an order for a ksuba. If someone's a guarantor for a ksuba, we're not talking about father to son now. We're talking about a regular order. Itmar order the ksuba divra kola mishtabed. Everybody agrees there's no shibud. First of all, says Rashi, he's an order. He's a regular.
What shibud?
He doesn't owe the debt. If he's a guarantor, he doesn't owe. He's not mishabed. He doesn't indebt himself. And also because she didn't lend the money, and it's also not the father. Kablan de Bal Choiv. We're on Daf Nun now. Kablan de Bal Choiv divra kol mishtabed.
It seems like an Arab to a Kasuba. It seems like almost like a person's word is supposed to mean something, no? So it seems like kind of odd. He says he's going to be an Arab, but it doesn't mean anything.
I mean, obviously, I think that he has certain maybe obligations towards Shemayim to pay. The question is if he has an illegal obligation. Could Bez enforce it? So yeah, there's Dinei Shemayim, there's Dinei Odom. So yeah, of course his word means something, but the question is it enough of a kinyan? Is an Odev writing himself as an Odev enough of a kinyan to be legally obligated? Morally, should he be obligated? Probably. Legally, that's a whole entirely different question. But it's a good question. It's a good point. We're on Daf Nun Amud Aleph on the top. Kablan to Bal Choiv Divra Kol Mishtabed. A Kablan who's a Bal Choiv, then everybody will say, because he's an Arv Kablan. We're talking about that there was property that was moved around as a mashkin that the Loiva gave the Orev who gave back to the Malva. So everybody will agree a Kablan of Bal Choiv. First of all, and he also lent him money. There you have everything. What if the Bal Choiv? What if he's purely an Orev of a Bal Choiv? The Kablan de Ksuba, there's an Arv Kablan de Ksuba. There's a Machlekes Pligi. And like we already said before in the Gemara, if it's the father, it's a different story. A father is an Arv Kablan for a Ksuba, it works according to everybody, but an Arv Kablan of a Ksuba, there's a Machlekes. Some people say that even if there's no property to the Loiva, he'll still be Mishabed himself. He's still willing to Mishabed himself. Because the Mandomer, Islay Mishabed, Islay Mishabed. Some people say, no, only if the Loiva, the borrower, the husband has property, will he be Mishabed himself? If not. And this actually supports what my father said. His word means something. No matter what, he's Mishabed himself. He's an Orev, he's Mishabed himself. Bar me'orev de ksuba, except for a pure orev of a ksuba, and we're not talking about a father. Remember, we're not talking about a father. We're just talking about a regular orev of ksuba. Could be an orev who was a father of a ksuba. Is a different story. I'm not sure. To look up the halacha. But even if he has, he's not mishabed himself. My time a mitzvah David v'lei midi chas. So he's doing a mitzvah. What does that mean? He's helping her get married, and she's not losing anything. So therefore, he's not chayiv. Very interesting. Is the Gemara even saying there's no moral obligation? I don't know. Seems like it. Says Tosfos Tartib, we need both. The fact that she's not losing anything and it's a mitzvah. If he's not doing a mitzvah, for example, he became an order after the marriage, or he's doing a mitzvah and she is losing out, then mishtapet. So it has to be a mitzvah and she's not losing out. Toshma. Ravina says,
so how is she not losing out? Because if there is a divorce or something happens, she's losing out the money.
No, she never lent out. It wasn't her money in the first place.
But he promised her that if there's something happens, that he's going to be an Arab Kabbalah to guarantee the kasuba. So her husband's a deadbeat. So then something happens to me, dies, or he divorces her. Now she loses out. She's not going to get anything because the Arab is now doesn't have to do anything. Why do you say she's not losing?
Losing out is if she lent the money, that means she's losing it. But because she never lent the money, it didn't come from her. It was just a promise. It's different. In a way,
it's a little bit
what?
A little bit.
You don't like it?
No.
You're saying because the husband that she trusted her husband based on the order. You're saying,
right? She thought she had a guarantee, and she's going to get something.
She's not. She didn't lend her own money, but I hear what you're saying. Okay, so now we're fine. We're going back to Mar Zutra. So far, it's very dochuk to explain this. The whole mission is talking about an Orev Kablan. It's talking about not from the Yisrael, but from the father, and that's why we're talking about Shikat Ziburis. Ravina. This is another rebuke to Mar Zutra. Meikoret de takantin, yoiser mima. Toshma meikoret de takantin. Look at the whole takana of ksuba. Why a woman gets Ziburis for ksuba? More than a man wants to get married, a woman wants to get married. That's why we give her less, because she's willing to forego. If you're going to say that it's only because she's getting from the Yisoimim, so the reason why she's getting less is because it's Yisoimim, not because she wants to get married more than him. So you have to there's a refutation to him, and when we say Ksuba Sisha is the Zutur so. Ziburis, if you're going to say Ksuba Sisha, Ziburis is from the Yisoimim, So it's because she's getting from the Yisraelim, not because she wants to get married more than him. For the fact that we say that the reason why her ksuba is less is because she wants to get married more than him, it has to do with her and him, not from the Yisraelim, at least according to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir will argue. Tiyufta, we have a refutation. All right, we'll stop here on Daf Nun Amud Aleph 50a on the top of the page.
David, forgive me. I still have a problem understanding.